Hello, my name is Lucy and I share videos around the topic of chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, and different tips that might help with recovery. This particular video is around the topic of confidence and motivation, and in particular, how to manage a knockback in confidence or motivation when you have started to feel worse. So I am not a medical professional, and this isn't medical or mental health advice. I'm just sharing ideas that resonate with me in terms of my own experience. So I suppose to begin with, it's very normal to experience a knock in confidence and motivation when you've had a physical setback. And so the first thing that is important to do would be to actually allow yourself to experience the emotions that are coming up. So it would be normal to feel frustrated, angry, sad, a sense of loss, a sense of resentment, frustration. So whatever emotions are coming up, actually allowing yourself to feel those emotions, and even if it takes a number of days or a number of weeks, give yourself some time and space to experience that. For some people, they might find writing for 30 minutes a day about those raw emotions that are coming up helpful. Or for others, it might be doing a meditation where you actually focus in on those specific feelings themselves. But I think sometimes we have very high expectations of ourselves to get back up after this knockback really quickly. It's not necessarily going to be a really quick turnaround, and our confidence and motivation might not come back straight away. The reason I suggest allowing yourself to experience those emotions is because if we bottle up emotions or try to push them to one side or allow them to kind of linger in the background without fully addressing them, then it might take us longer to feel motivated again and to feel confident again, because essentially there's emotions that we're not addressing, and those emotions can also be feeding into physical symptoms and making us feel physically worse. So you might not want to feel those emotions, but it is part of the process. And I think when it comes to health and having knockbacks, especially if you've had a number of knockbacks again and again and again, it's mentally draining and it's quite tiring in itself to deal with that level of disappointment, frustration, and powerlessness. So even though you may have experienced it before and you may think, I've been here before, I should be able to just know what to do next, it's good to at least allow yourself to feel what you're actually feeling. If you don't notice any feelings like that coming up, it might be worth asking yourself, are they buried somewhere? Like, are you suppressing those emotions in some way? So if in the instance that you've already experienced those emotions and allowed those emotions to be present, you are still feeling a lack of confidence and a lack of motivation, it might be helpful to get curious about what part of you is experiencing the lack of motivation and lack of confidence, and get to know those parts. So why is the lack of motivation there? Is it because there's a part of you that fears being let down again? Is it because there's actually a part of you that fears going back to normal life? Is it something else entirely? Is it that every time you're trying to get better, there's a lot of pressure on you, and actually there's a part of you that doesn't want to feel that pressure, that doesn't want to feel really high expectations or to have to deal with perfectionism all of the time? different parts of us will have different feelings around recovery, which is really normal. So if there's part of you that lacks motivation or lacks confidence, it doesn't mean that you don't want to get better. It just means that there's a part of you that is struggling with certain aspects of this process, which is very normal. So what we're trying to do is figure out if there's an underlying reason behind our lack of confidence and motivation, because it might be really normal and expected to have a lack of motivation and confidence when you've had lots of knockbacks in the past and you're still having these setbacks. But there could be other reasons behind them that you're less aware of and that would be helpful to explore and would give you some additional answers. And those answers could be different for different people. Another thing to consider is whether the lack of confidence is also to do with your understanding of a specific approach that you're following. Does it make sense to you? Do you believe it? Are there any questions that you have that you could ask that would help you gain more confidence in the particular approach you're following? And I think it's really normal not to have full confidence in something that maybe you haven't noticed results with yet. So to some extent, dealing with a lack of confidence is maybe just part of the process as well. Maybe that lack of confidence is going to stay with you to a certain extent, and as long as you're able to address that feeling and be okay with that feeling, that certainly could be a help. Another thing to consider around confidence is that confidence comes from taking action. So sometimes people think you're either confident or you're not, but actually often people are lacking confidence before they try something new, and once they gain some skills in that area, they grow in confidence. So it does take time to build confidence, and I think if you've had multiple setbacks, it doesn't mean that you're not going to recover. It just means that some of the things that you've tried haven't worked, or there's challenges and it's not really easy to implement the thing that is helping and that is working. Then finally, I think another area around confidence and motivation is around the reasons that you want to recover and whether those reasons are strong enough. So if I think about the times that I lacked confidence or motivation in my time of having long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome, I think some of it was when I was maybe too comfortable. And I don't mean that in terms of life was fun in any way, it certainly wasn't. But I had a lack of direction. I also had a lack of future vision around what I wanted. So knowing exactly why you want to get better, what you want to do when you're better, can really help. Also, what would be the case if you didn't get better? Sometimes the motivation to do something fun is not as motivating as thinking about what would happen if I didn't get better. So if in 5 years' time I was better, what would I be doing? And if in 5 years' time I wasn't better, what would I be doing? And I say that knowing that it isn't easy to get better and that this isn't someone's choice to be unwell, but that having a lot of motivation and belief and taking action to do things that help do make a huge difference. So it is important to reflect on these things. So I hope this video was helpful. This idea for this video came from someone who wanted me to talk on this topic. And so if any of you have specific things that you'd like me to make a video about, just let me know in the comments. And if you found it useful and you'd like to see similar videos like it, please like and subscribe. I have a private Facebook group, which if anyone wants to join who's not already a member, there's a link in the description below. And I will see you in my next video.